Are you ready to learn about the latest wellness trends and integrate self-care essentials into your everyday life? Well, you're in luck because today my guest on the Discover WellBeing podcast is Kim Matheson Shedrick. She's a global wellness expert, and I can't wait to dive into a conversation to explore all of the possibilities. Kim has spent nearly a decade with WTS, Arch Amenities Group, shaping the future of wellness throughout her thought leadership, global projects, and strategic partnerships across hospitality, residential, and corporate spaces. With roles at renowned brands like Marriott, Four Seasons, and Wellbridge, Kim brings extensive expertise in the spa consultancy and wellness design space. She's also the founder of MySpaShop, an online wellness collection focused on promoting self-care and well-being. I'm excited to have you share your wisdom, Kim.
Thank you for having me, Allison.
I would love to have you share your take on well-being.
I think it's about optimizing oneself, and that is mentally, physically, spiritually. How much sleep am I getting? What kind of nourishment am I giving myself? And of course, we have 24 hours in a day. And so what kind of narrative do I have in my head about how, the practicing being grateful? And really, I think there's tools that we can use that help us be well. And I think one of the things that occurred during the pandemic is how mental well-being took such a thrashing, and that to recover, there's some really proactive steps that we can take, but we have to take them, and doing so together. And it also became clear that social connections are critical, as well as nature help feed us and our souls.
I bet you get a dose of that living in Vermont.
I do. I'm so fortunate. After living 25 years in New York City, this is quite the difference. And so I adore it, and I don't take it for granted for a minute. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Our conversation today is going to take different angles in terms of wellness, hospitality, spa design and development, all the areas that hold your expertise, so the listeners can get a fuller picture. Let's go back in time, if you will, because you have been in this field for a long time.
Yes,
Would you share how you've seen changes in spa trends?
Sure. I grew up playing tennis, and my auntie worked for Christian Dior and introduced me to makeup at a young age. So I was always interested. And then I realized I wanted to travel with my work, and I went to work with Marriott. I did my internship at the Maui Marriott and landed at JW Desert Springs, and that's the first spa that Marriott Corporation has. Now they have hundreds across the globe, but that was the very first one. And Mr. Marriott was still with us. And so I was a front desk manager trainee there, and I ended up being recruited into the spa business back in the early 90s, so way back. And so I came in as programming supervisor, and then it was the men's side and the women's side. There was an outdoor pool where him and her could meet in a cafe, but we'd have to sneak male and female therapists in and out the back doors because it was built up. So I think, but we've grown, and in some cultures that you still see the genders separated, but I see a lot now of the genders coming together and having co-ed experiences individually in the treatment room, but also some experiences that they can share together. And I think that's a really nice movement. And then one of the other things that's just been explosive in the United States anyway, recently, is the whole bathhouse and the social co-ed bathing. And there's, I think, probably 5 now in New York City. Of course, in Asia and Europe and even Canada, they've been doing outdoor bathing and having rituals for well-being for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's nice that we're finally catching up, and I think you're going to see more and more of that. And from a therapist perspective, the therapists are continuing to get better and better at what they do. Sometimes they even bring in tools and use some percussion instruments, a treatment, which is right. And then, of course, in skincare, the results-oriented options and the product are amazing. But then there's also a lot happening when it comes to wellness technology, and they're using lasers, electrical stimulation, some NASA technology. There's a lot of sound healing, heat, And some of them require a therapist, and some of them can be without a therapist. And it sounds odd, but it is an opportunity to have a wellness experience that isn't a one-on-one. And so that's opening the doors to having more experiences at a more accessible price to more people. There's even a robotic massage that is actually really great. I was surprised, and it was really very good. So there's lots. And then, of course, finally, is taking care of ourselves every day and every moment, and not just going to the spa, but what about that time in between? How are we taking care of ourselves? What's our morning ritual, our evening ritual? What are we doing to take care of ourselves and our loved ones? And I think we all had to do that during the pandemic. And we saw a surge in spirituality, taking care of oneself, self-care, self-healing, finding the divine purpose and why are we here. And I think it's like all those things coming together. Spa's morphed into wellness for me. So I think it's hard to separate them anymore. It's evolved into a proactive, preventative approach to living life well.
Thank you. We'll explore a couple of those in detail, but could you share where it all started for you? Like, how did you land into spa design? Did you study it in school?
For a moment, I studied architecture, but I didn't stay with it. It didn't feel like it was so exacting. And that's really not my cup of tea. But I did identify when I went to school in France, and I realized, and I'd grown up in a very small town in Washington State, and there's so much out here. I want to see it. One of my classmates was going to a school for hospitality in Seattle, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And so at that moment, I pivoted into hospitality, and then from the hospitality training, which was very strong in business, more than design, but marketing, and then doing the internship, because I really think that part of the expertise comes back to working my way up through my internship. I worked in housekeeping, engineering, and the front desk, the bell stand, the phone. You had to do everything and understand what everybody was doing. So that led me to Desert Springs, and I got encouraged to actually, Janet Danier, one of my mentors, had to really coax me into it, because I was dead set on being general manager. So I don't want to run the salon. And she goes, oh no, it's a lot more than salon. You don't even know. And it's just starting. There's no glass ceiling yet. Women are going to thrive. So I finally decided to try it, and then I just never looked back. It was so fascinating studying massage therapy and shiatsu and aromatherapy and Ayurveda, and leading massage therapists and estheticians, and having clients from around the globe. And I remember my parents told their friends that I was working as a spa manager, and they're like, oh, she manages hot tubs? And they thought it was quite scandalous. And I said, just tell me I work for Marriott. I'm a manager for Marriott. And they were like, all right. So anyway, and then it was just a natural progression. And I think passion shined through. And Beth Eschbach, another mentor, found me and hired me away and then I was in Chicago, Southern California, and kicking and screaming from Laguna Beach to New York City to manage the Peninsula Spa, the 5th and 55th, and I didn't know which way Madison Avenue was. 4 years of operations. Then I fell into consulting, because so many spas were being built that there wasn't enough talent who understood. And it's a very specialized business. There's a lot of mechanical, electrical, plumbing. There's the guest journey. There's the staff journey. There's let's make some money component. And there's also, of course, the aesthetics and the sensorial experience. And there's the noise and adjacencies, and you've got fitness, and then you've also got more passive services and relaxation zones. So it's just weaving it all together. And then I was able to travel the globe. I did some work in Dubai and Russia and Mexico and the Caribbean, Saudi Arabia, doing feasibility studies. And Nigeria, that they would hire me to come help them out was just incredible. I did that for about 15 years. And about 10 years ago, a large company called WTS International acquired Natural Resources Spa Consulting. And then I joined a larger team. And I actually really enjoy working with a lot of different people, with professionals in the different financial, recruiting, training, operations, finance, technology, all kinds of specialists across the board. We probably have 400 facilities that we manage: fitness, wellness, in hospitality, residential, commercial, corporate headquarters, corporations. So it's really has a wide variety now of not just being, I come out of hospitality luxury spa, but now it's way broader than that.
Oh, so fascinating. So fascinating to have had the benefits of not only doing what you love, but being able to travel and experience it for yourself.
Remarkable.
Priceless. Priceless. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Kim, you mentioned that corporations are looking at wellness. And I know that with the pandemic has also shifted priorities and values for companies. So, what are you seeing in terms of crossover of traditional spa into corporate? Are they doing anything like that? Or is it around the programming and not necessarily the services?
Interesting. Programming
Okay.
across the board in every venue. However, one of the things that's interesting, of course, is there was a mass exodus of tenants during the pandemic. And so the landlords are now looking to do what they can to attract, companies and their employees back into the workspace, even if it's several days a week. And so there's a real big attention on the facilities and services available. And so now everybody wants to provide wellness in the workplace. What's that look like? What's that look? So it looks a lot of different ways, but it is physical space, right? And a commitment, and some of it's chill, and some of it could be active, a place for experts. There could be, exercise. There could be experiences like we were talking about, like aqua massage, or there could be, a wonderful sauna, or there could be a relaxed working environment. We are doing a lot of flexible workspace and community engagement. And the community engagement changes based on who the customer is. And we have some really great data and analytical tools that we can really drill into the demographics, the psychographics, the number, how long are they staying, where are they coming from, what are they doing. But in addition to that, you start to see who's coming into the space, and then what kind of programs would be interesting to them, whether we're doing a pop-up sound healing or a pop-up sip and paint. It can look, or a philanthropic effort, or have a massage therapist and some aromatherapy and take a meditation. It could be anything. And then also in the corporate headquarters for Expedia, Deloitte & Touche, they're doing some really impressive wellness facilities. And of course it's fitness too, right? But then I also think that they know that the camaraderie and some not just hardcore, but outdoor exercises and maybe skywatch or fire pits, but something that's enjoyable, butterflies, what have you. So they're getting they're making a big commitment, and then they are translating that to their team and then other experts that are coming into the different HQs. It looks different, but then programming, I think, is we come out of hospitality, but then in residential, it was all about programming because those people are there all the time. So that's a pretty high order, right? So this is what we want, da, 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 da. And so that trained us to be ready to program wherever we went. And each situation is different. Are we doing dog grooming? Are we doing kids programs? Are we going on a yacht trip? It's like we're at the beach, we're in the mountains. So there's a lot of variety in how we approach programming, but it's integral to the engagement of the people who live there. And if you could have a beautiful facility, but if nobody's there and it's dark, and that's what they don't want.
Yes. Innovative wellness.
Innovative wellness.
So it's the best of both worlds. It's the intrinsic value that people are appreciating and getting the benefit of. And then when we're looking at the investment that is being made and how we can attract and gain that brand loyalty, right? So employees don't leave and we have returning of customers and so on and so forth. Or there's a wait list. I know that the facilities that have certain demographic, let's say 60, that are coming into these living spaces, and they want not only the amenities, but they want the programming, right? And so to have a wait list because you have the programming and you have the facility that matches the values that the people have and are willing to invest. So that was my takeaway from what you just shared.
Yeah, it's a big money. It's billions of dollars, soon to be trillions of dollars in terms of the overall wellness revenue. But one of the fastest growing is residential space. And now we're getting contacted by university housing to see now how can we make this housing even more attractive. And then again, it's programming. And so what do we do around that? And then also clean air and what we're building with. And so there's a lot happening to support a healthy environment at all times. And there's some groups that are doing a really great job with that in terms of environmental impact. So yeah, there's so much happening. It's exciting. Maybe sometime we can go into the wellness economy, because it's fascinating what's happening. But I don't have my notes, so I can't do it off the top of my head. But it's something that's being tracked by the Global Wellness Institute annually, and it's big money and big opportunity. And but interesting is that we're seeing entrants such as medical enter, real estate enter. So it's not just, and spas now not even the biggest, not even close to where the weight loss is now had its own renaissance. It's exciting times, and I'm glad that spas and doctors and spiritualists and scientists and academics and operators are coming together and talking. So I think it's finally, there's a lot of energy around it. So I think the ongoing innovation is going to be sensational. But since I just said that, the being well is also about having the ability to be still and tap into ancient wisdom, right? Whether it's just listening or clearing your mind or practicing yoga, praying, taking a walk in nature, that really counts too. So there's this interesting ancient wisdom is holding its own, but then you've got all this new innovation. So I think we just have to balance it. It's all about the balance, isn't it?
It is. And the first you named is free. Stillness is free. Nature is free. Even if you're living in the city, you can find a park bench. You could choose to set the technology aside, choose to not pick up a book, not pick up music. The opportunities that are available for us to find those moments of mindfulness throughout the day is often overlooked. Mm-hmm. And as you described the Global Wellness Institute, I did a segment on the wellness travel industry, and it's 1.4 trillion projected revenue in just representation of the market itself, the wellness market, by 2027. And amazing. Hallelujah. The fact that people are having a desire to not just go and travel and have an experience that's extractive, that they're seeing experiences of what can I go and do to support that economy, to support those people and that culture, and take back. And so they can have it as the experience. It's a spiritual souvenir, let's say that, because it lives in the spirit and will continue.
In terms of just travel, you see the distance between the over tourism that's happening in places, and the locals are saying, you got to leave, to the movement in slow travel, which I think is a great development, as well as an uptick in pilgrimages. I don't know if you've seen that, but I think that's really interesting. My brother has done the Camino Trail, and then he did the Highland Trails in Scotland. We have a Scottish ancestry, and my sister and I went over there, attracted Mathesons, and it was so cool. And then I got back and I heard about pilgrimages. I just did one, right? For 10 days, brother and sisters only. It was like, wow. So it's people are looking for meaning and like to give to the community, to be aware that they're in the islands and that there's a sense of place and giving back. So I think there's some very positive movements out there in travel, but there's also the over tourism. Again, back to the balance, right?
Yes, and more companies. I went through the Transformational travel design course for leading retreats, and it was the opportunity for me to see how many players there are, whether you're selling travel, buying travel, hospitality, DMCs, retreat leaders. Like, there are so many opportunities and need for innovation to come together to be on the same page, that we're not just selling a tour to sell a tour. We're selling so much more. And then the impact. So over tourism is really a thing, but just the going into the trends, if you will, the experience economy is very much a part of that transformational travel. How can I come back differently? And then the experiences, the uptick, as you said, of people's awareness and desire to invest in this is huge and exciting for me on many levels. Kim, in looking at some of the trends for the experience economy, we're seeing a movement from the me to the we. So around social wellness and the age of awe, health as the new wealth, wellness architecture, and the nature experiences. So are there a couple that you would like to share that you've either had a personal experience in helping design or that you've had yourself?
Oh, when you talk about experience and the power of awe, there are two things that come to mind. Is Louis Berg, and he has the Louis channel, and he does moving art, and they use it in prisons, and they have these transformations. It's amazing what beautiful visual stimulation with love in it can do to people. So that he's evolved over the years. He's amazing. And then for the first time at the last Global Wellness Summit, I tried Sanctum. And it was a combination with headphones, but there was all these people around you. And then there was a leader, his name was Luke, and he was so awesome. It was like this spiritual dance. His mom was a medium, and he got into my head, and we were like, it was so powerful. And I just lost my cousin. So it was like, but we're going to lift you up. Remarkable. And they're primarily in Europe right now, out of Amsterdam, but they're coming. And I know that they've found a foothold in the United States. I can't wait to work with them. But then there's so many other things that are out there. Like I told you about the Escape, the robotic massage, which is really dynamite. It's and there's a computer involved, but there's these hands and then there's this feedback, so it can build upon each treatment. And then there's the others that, like right now, we work on a lot of different spa and wellness centers. And one of the biggest areas that we're seeing of increase of interest is creating bathhouses and aquathermal experiences and the whole contrast bathing, right? Even in not the luxury places, you're seeing like a cold plunge pool next to a sauna. And of course, the athletes have been doing this for a long time, but finally, you could just spend 90 minutes taking the waters. Maybe there's a event sauna, and then there's a cold plunge, and there might be an ice room and a steam room and some experiential showers. And so it's fun to be able to imagine what we would want to add for experience based on where we are. And then based on where we are, like if we're in the tropics, we bring that into the features, and there's groups that we work with that that's all they do is create and customize and manufacture aquathermal, like in custom. Like you can dream up, like I said, how about a human car wash? And like, yeah, we can do that, Kim. Or how about a storm room? And, oh yeah, I saw a really cool one. So we're building that now. So and of course the time together, even when the pandemic was still with us, we immediately saw that there was this movement of small groups of women coming to the spa because they felt like, okay, we've got to see each other, right? We'll go to a clean place. We know it's safe, and let's go to a spa day. And we're still seeing a lot of small groups, but sometimes it's Jack and Jill, him and her, or, different, whatever the combination is, but it seems like that third space for a lot of people. And also in the fitness, I'm not talking a lot about fitness, but when I'm thinking about fitness, spa and wellness, fitness is a component of that. And at daily, whether it's you're walking or doing yoga at home or on exercise, like I'm still playing tennis. So it's unique for every person, right? And I think it's one size does not fit all. You got to personalize to meet your own personal needs or those around you, and then that's the way forward.
Absolutely. And especially if you have kids, and the fact that parents are introducing their children to experiences, then again, I'll use that word priceless.
And the intergenerational thing too. I'm so glad you mentioned families, because that's another huge area. Grandparents, parents, children, traveling together. Does it get any better than that?
Yes. Yes. My mother is 84, and she is the one that led me to have a love for travel. She's climbed Kilimanjaro. We've done so many trips together. I've not done that trip with her, but there is so much to be said about traveling with your family. I love, love, love traveling with my mother and
Yeah.
my kids.
Yeah. And me too. And I'm going to go see my mom next week for her 86th birthday. And she's still playing tennis. She's doing great. She's living on
Oh,
her own, and she's just living her best life. So,
this is really
yay.
bringing in that wellness in everyday life, but designed by them. Not everybody
That's
wants
right.
to climb Kilimanjaro. My mother probably wouldn't pick up a tennis racket, so we get to choose what it looks like for us. And
Isn't that beautiful?
yes,
We're so
yes.
fortunate.
I'd love to transition to still very much a part of your world, and I'd like to hear the motivation around it. But you not only have your corporate career, but you have this
Hmm.
beautiful passion business on the side called MySpaShop. And so I'd love for you to share with the listeners. I think that's actually how you and I met. I had
Yeah.
reached out because I found it as such an incredible luxury wellness marketplace that has this curated collection. And I was just in awe of how you brought everything together. So I reached out to you and we've had conversations. And now I'm honored to be a partner with you and being able to share with my clients. But I'd love to hear how it all started.
Well, I sure enjoyed getting your email when you did reach out, and the well-being architect. I was like, ooh, I love that title. He doesn't. That's who I see myself as. But coming from operations again, and my passion, and there's such an opportunity for people to take the experience home. Right? You have a great scrub. I love that lotion. I need some sunscreen. This robe is going to remind me of this spa forever. And so I've always loved retail, and I love to gift, and a wellness gift. Why not? There's everything right with it. And then also we were able to identify that within a larger hotel resort setting is that it's a great VIP gift. All of a sudden you have something to give instead of not just a cheese tray and wine or fruit, but you could give a beautiful robe or some nice skincare products for the season. So there's a lot of opportunity around that. But 14, 15 years ago, and I think we were before my time, I not too long ago gotten married, and my husband is into technology and consulting. And we were talking, he said, there's really nobody who's doing everything that you talk about doing. And so we just started dreaming about what would that look like. And so I just started thinking about how I set up a spa store and all the spas I design and develop. And so most of the brands on our site are people that I've worked with for decades and in the spa industry. So it's like the real players. It's not just, oh, I heard about you. And many of them are women-owned companies, but we have some men too, and we love everybody. But I'm very proud of our successful, powerful women that we're trying to just support one another. So then, how do we do this? And then there's so many different ways to go. And then we just, well, we're just going to come at it skin and fitness at home. What about yoga? We're about to launch some really cool sound healing. And so we've just been developing or extending our partnership and then identifying, one by one, other groups that would make a lot of sense for us. And we're a boutique, we're not huge. And then moving forward, we're working with more like specialists. For example, you, Allison, or another woman who's doing some spiritual retreats. And then there's an ashram in India. And so there's just these people talking about these wonderful, just these positive thoughts that come into my box because I've reached out to everybody in the wellness world. And so there's all these people with this wonderful stuff to share. And it's not all, you don't buy it all, right? Some of it is just knowing about it or being able to participate in something or knowing that there's other like people like you out there. But if you can also have a beautiful robe to put on in the morning, or that you have a special bathtub set up, and what do you have at the bath? And we also I worked with Spa Technology, and they created a spa detox kit, which was just, it's like everything you need to take several baths. And this is what we do in a spa. Is we say, okay, this is what I want on my menu. Then I work with the vendor and they say, okay, here you go. And so we have a lot of services like that. And our tanning, the South Seas has been a big seller. It's like Tara, Herbal Ease. So we have a lot of wonderful feel good products. It's a beautiful, very hard to find too, yoga equipment. So this is my way of connecting dots, is like the people and me and all these wonderful experts I know, and these people that are trying to give back but don't know how. And there's so many people who need it. So now 15 years ago. So we certainly there's been a lot of evolution, but I will tell you during the pandemic, of course, getting things was not easy, but there was this huge surge in interest in how might I be able to take care of myself at home, my family, halo therapy to help build your immunity system. There's all kinds of tools, and I feel like there's so much more. I don't even feel like we've really gotten started. Sometimes I feel it's like the cobbler's kids with no shoes because I'm so busy doing my big girl job, which I love, that my side hustle, my passion doesn't get as much of my time as I wish it did, but that's okay. Those days will come. And now I've got Rich full time, and we've got Janice, who's our manager, and she does a great job for us day to day, helping all the customers and working with the vendors. So got a good team around us, and I think it's just good to share the being with anybody that has an ear for it or a passion, and come visit. And I'd love to learn more about everybody else's journey, because everybody's got a journey to share, don't they? And it's good to listen.
The products are gorgeous, and they're just of high quality. And the way that you've curated, I suspect that all of your travels have influenced.
That's right.
Because you can go anywhere. You can go to Target and get products, right? But there is a difference. And then when you have your resource of this is where I go for my wellness products, and or I want to add something in the next season, because you've got different price ranges of products, and you've got the high innovation mats, and then you've got candles and everything in between. But when I discovered it, it was a wow for me. So I look forward to filling my house. And the opportunity, I think, that's coming for a lot of people, they've had an experience. I can't think of the particular soap brand, but she had eczema. Oh, I wish I could bring it into this podcast. I'll put it in the show notes. And there is this, she had an issue with eczema, and all the lotions, all the creams, everything she was using was not helping. And so she created this bar, and it's in the hands of movie stars and everywhere. And she just started in her kitchen. And now it's this beautiful brand, and it's extraordinary how people start out.
It really is, and particularly with eczema or something. But Kirsten Florian, which is one of the lines that I have, and I've known her for decades and decades, but she started in her kitchen, and she's Swedish, pardon me. And so many of those European cultures started through the gardening and creating an apothecary, and that's what she did. Now she's got caviar eye cream that my mom will do anything for. They grow out of this need, and then it becomes something special. So that's great. And eczema is something you want to be able to help with.
Love that. Do you have one favorite product?
I just mentioned that eye cream that I love. One of the long-term brands that I love is the wrap-up robes, and right now they have this new caftan that I want to get. But the material is so soft. I feel like sometimes it's just that little thing that you do every morning. Like I put that on every morning that I love it. Cashmere for the winter. I don't know if you've ever felt that material, but it is just divine. It's a squishy, yummy. It's almost like wearing a massage. It feels so good. And then the chamomile body spray from Kirsten is beautiful. I could go on and on. I love them all. It's what do you need right now, and who needs it?
It's perfect timing. This podcast will be launching this week. So we've got mid-September and all the months to look through MySpaShop and decide what you want to gift yourself, what you want to potentially gift your loved ones. So I think it's really exciting that you have been able to harness the power of wellness in all these different avenues of design and business and personal. It's really an extraordinary time. I think that wellness is really, it's mainstream, but I think now our opportunity is to be able, how do we bring it into the lives of more people that might not have the discretionary income?
Ages.
Exactly.
Of all incomes.
Exactly.
Of all races, of all religions, we welcome all, because that's wellness. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yes. So maybe that's a topic for another podcast. But I thank you for today and sharing all that you did. It was really exciting to learn from you.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking about being architecture in the near future.
Are you enjoying the Discover Wellbeing podcast? If so, I would love to hear about it. Leaving a review helps more people find us and really makes a difference. So share your thoughts on Apple Podcast or your favorite platform.